So if you want to know what life is going to be like for Americans a few years down the road if we do not get rid of these extreme Project 2025 white evangelical nationalists, just take a look at what's going on in Hungary right now. By the way, if you appreciate my content, please engage with it so I stay out of algorithm hell. So ABC News just suspended Terry Moran. He's, you guys know him, he's a national correspondent, very experienced, highly regarded, one of the best in the field. And he got the coveted interview with Donald Trump a few weeks ago. Remember the one where Donald Trump was claiming that Kilmer had the tattoos on his fingers, and Terry Moran refused to let him get away with spreading that lie? That's the guy. ABC suspended him because he posted on his social media that basically Steve Miller is the devil. He didn't use those words, but he did a very elegant job, right on the money, explaining what a sociopath, what a cruel, self-serving sociopath Steve Miller is. Again, he didn't use those words, but it pissed off Steve Miller. So Steve Miller, just like any authoritarian wannabe, used his position in the White House to put pressure on ABC News, and shame on ABC News for suspending him upon further investigation. And then Steve Miller went on to do what Steve Miller and all these sociopathic geniuses behind Project 2025 does. He put out a statement that this kind of media is corrupt. They are trying to tell people what to think. They won't let people think on their own, and this has to stop. How horrible to say such horrible things about me. And then all the other Republicans piled on against ABC News and Terry Moran as well. Now, this is in the same universe that every single newscaster on Fox News posts the most horrible things. Completely different set of standards. Where does Hungary come in? The Republicans crafted Project 2025 from Hungary. Hungary did this first when they elected Orban. Orban was their Donald Trump before we had our Donald Trump. Republicans flew out to Hungary, sponsored by CPAC, to learn how to create Project 2025, more specifically, to learn how to turn a democracy into an authoritarian government. That's what Orban accomplished in Hungary. Where is Hungary today? All of the right-wing billionaires purchased all of the media. So now all you have is state-run media that doesn't expose corruption, does not provide facts, does not do anything but give Orban-friendly news. But there's independent news publications still there fighting to put out real information. And Orban just put in a bill called the Transparency of Public Information Bill. And what it's going to do is it's going to prevent these independent organizations from getting any donations from outside sources. A big donor is George Soros. George Soros is a good guy. He donates to fight for democracy. He donates to organizations, independent news sources in communist and authoritarian governments so that the real news could get out. Orban is stopping the funding, and these independent organizations will not be in existence a year from now. Okay? Why is Orban silencing independent media? Because he is tanking in the polls, and there's an election next year. Why is he tanking in the polls? Because Hungary, under this authoritarianism, has a stagnant economy. They are in a cost of living crisis. There's pervasive corruption and social upheaval. What I'm trying to say is that all the people who voted for Orban, their version of Donald Trump, are suffering. They're struggling. They made a mistake. They realized they fell for the fear-mongering about immigrants and the LGBTQ and so forth. And now they realize they can't do anything about it. They can't communicate what they're seeing because there's only state-run media. Everything is so corrupt, they can't get rid of the guy. But he's tanking in the polls, and there's an opposition party right now that's ahead by 6 or 7 points right now. It's still early. So he's going to use his corruption to stay in power again. This is a democracy. This guy has been in power for 12 years. That never happened before. They had term limits and all kinds of things. So shame on ABC. Shame on anybody who is giving in to this. They're part of the problem.